Well, thank you, everyone, and welcome to Fabric Executive Insights. My name is Carlos Cerquinio. I'm going to be your moderator today. And the topic today is real-time intelligence at scale, and we have two amazing speakers. First of all, Dipti Borkar, or Vice President of Microsoft OneLake and ISVs, and Massimo Galli, Vice President of Global Sales of Fusion Data Hub. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thrilled to be here.
Good. So let's jump right in. So industrial companies have invested heavily in sensors and telemetry. Why are decisions still delayed despite this explosion of data?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the past several years, there's a lot more data for sure. The volume's increasing, the speed at which it's generated is increasing, the complexity of it, the variety of it is increasing. But even then, our infrastructure, has been it's kind of built for the past. A lot of customers are and enterprises are still doing sort of batch analysis, batch processing on a range of this data, and trying to unify their data because all of this data is also very fragmented in many different places. So it's been a challenge. First thing is to have a single view of this data and having the infrastructure and kind of keep up. Decisions need to be made faster, but what's your perspective, Massimo?
What we see from the industrial world is that in the last few decades, industrial software vendor, they invested quite a lot and they solve a portion of the problem, but still at site level. So, but then if you have to reason at a corporate level, you have to bring the data from disparate systems, different sites. And the worst is that each system, while it is pretty good, they do have a different description of the semantic, how to combine so different semantics to become to go towards a unification of the data you need to take decision.
Yep.
So we see a problem first in unifying the different protocols, and second, even more important, unifying the semantics of the data, of the real-time data.
In what fundamentally changes when we are just reporting on the operational data to moving to real-time intelligence? Would you like to go deeper there?
Yes, I think you touched a very good point when you were speaking about batches, because the first integration that was achieved was to gather process manufacturing data, build some kind of data set to be consumed at corporate level for corporate level reporting, dashboarding, and something like that. But if you want really to drive real-time intelligence at scale, we cannot rely on data set because we are losing information. We need to drive truly real-time data streams into the decision infrastructure. So this is the really big point. And we have to be able to do that, as I said, at scale, original resolution, and taking care of the outages that can happen in the field. Like that historian can be out of order for a certain time. We need to be able to recover such data at the original resolution. So I would say, in a nutshell, we have to absolutely move from batch data processing, which is good for certain purposes, to a truly real-time data processor.
Yeah. I'll add to that, and I'll say there's a few big drivers of change coming up. I mean, it would be a miss to not bring up the AI word or phrase. I think AI is dramatically changing how we do business, how an organization works, how we live our lives. Everything is kind of getting disrupted. But a big part of that is decisions. You have to unify your data. You have to have a common view of that information because otherwise your agents are going to have partial information. And if agents are going to make decisions in the future, then your decisions will not be complete or right or consistent or correct if it is on delayed data. They will be, we will have a fundamental challenge there, and that's why that's one of the big drivers, today for that change. The other aspect is our infrastructure today, where even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, is significantly better at handling data in real time. And what does that mean? It's the speed of the data, it's the volume, as I mentioned. So volume, velocity, complexity, all of these things. We now have technologies that are better suited to this, which wasn't the case before. I mean, fundamentally, even from a networking layer, our pipes are thicker, so there's more that can be processed. But all of this drives sort of that change where we now have the tools, we now have the technologies, and along with AI driving it, I think companies are in a hurry to actually move towards real-time data because otherwise their competitor will do this and you will be left behind. The speed of innovation has fundamentally changed, which means you have to move to a real-time world. You have to move to real-time decisions.
Yeah, and I love that we're getting now from real time to AI. Is it enough? So we're talking about real streaming data. Is it enough for it to be decision grade, or we need to add additional layers? What's your point of view there?
Yeah, as we look at just raw data, there's so many IoT sensors, et cetera, generating that data. There's pretty much everything in this discussion we're having now. There's data being generated. Number of times I'm using the word AI, for example. But it becomes meaningful once you add more context to the data. So there's absolutely several levels of data and context that need to be added. There's intelligence that needs to be added to this. And so as an example, with Fabric, we have data in one lake. Let's say you're unifying data in one lake. You can have your intelligence and your context on top of it with semantic models as well as ontologies, and then that can be made available to agents upstream, where it's not just the data, but also the intelligence and all of this coming together in real time. So absolutely, as you mentioned earlier, the intelligence is a big part of it. And you're doing some great work actually at FabCon here. Yeah. You're actually bringing some new capabilities. Share a little bit about it.
I mean, we are really excited because this is a really big achievement for our company. So we are GA Fusion is available in general availability for Fabric. It's a major achievement because in the past we were already doing this for Azure, and so now we count to move some of our customers that are very interested in Fabric. We are counting to move their real-time data stream from Azure to Fabric, so to enhance the capability of them to produce real AI decision. And I would like to mention a specific customer because we have an industrial customer with dozens of sites. The journey of this customer started exactly as we said. So they started to transfer batches of data to feed the reporting. Then they realized that they needed the real-time streams. So we implemented the Fusion infrastructure for Azure. And the key part of this, again, to go back again to the context, was that they were really empowered only when we were able to transfer the asset model from the OT world into Azure. So the next step for them will be really to get the advantages of RTI in Fabric, because we will move this context and the OT data now in Fabric so they can really use a integrated ontology, no? Because maybe one of the challenges we have to face is how to translate the site level description of the production into a wider ontology, which put together also the business aspect of the equation.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and to continue that conversation, data comes from many different places. So first thing, congrats on the launch. We're excited. Fusion data is built on our Fabric real-time intelligence. So it's in itself, it's fantastic to see. But our joint customers benefit because not only does all of this context kind of land in Fabric, in the real-time hub, it can then be used and leveraged down downstream in many, many ways, whether it's agentic use cases, whether it's through notebooks, whether it's through reporting and dashboarding, Copilot, right? So many, many different use cases once you sort of unify the data, coming in real time and make decisions in real time.
No, and I love because it's going through a journey, right? It's like first streaming data, adding context, and now even starting to think about ontologies. I think that's actually changing a little bit of the expectations that our customers are having as
Yes.
well. How are you guiding your existing customers about, hey, it's not just streaming data, but we need to go step by steps? Like, would you like to go a little bit deep there?
Absolutely. So, the way we are seeing the ladder, if you will, the steps, it really starts off first with the unification of data with. And one lake in some ways, whatever cloud you might be on, whatever data platform you might be on, you don't have to, physically move the data. You can start off with one lake, shortcut that information, bring it in, unify it. Typically, you would start off with static, right? Historical data that's not real time. But soon after, you have to bring in the real time data in so that you create a holistic view of information at every moment in time, and bring that static and real time data together. That's where you build on top of it with harnessing it and processing it. You might use Fusion Data Hub to enhance it, or other engines that we have within Fabric. And then you build on top of it. You add the intelligence on top with whether it's our semantic models or ontologies. You add properties. You add rules. You essentially create a digital representation of how your organization works, how it behaves. All of this sort of represented in a graph, in a digital way, so that at the end of the day, both humans and agents can consume all of this information, from data to context. Satya calls it context engineering, really kind of where things are headed. And that is that journey that a lot of our customers are starting to take. Now, it is various customers are in various different parts of their journey, right? Some have begun unification. I just talked to one earlier, like, we're still on-prem. We're just starting our move to the cloud. Well, it's going to happen at some point. So we're here. We have all the tools now and capabilities to make you successful through this journey, because I think AI is actually driving a sense of urgency like never before. So many different steps to get there, including with tools and technologies, along with our fantastic partners here like Fusion.
Yeah. Massimo, any thoughts around customers
yes.
moving? Yeah.
Yes, I think that what we can provide as a partner of this ecosystem is essentially the backbone sustaining these kind of initiatives. As we said, with truly real-time data stream at scale. But then I think the most important drivers to create the change are when we are able to involve the customer in initiatives bringing together the OT part of the equation and the business systems. Because otherwise this could be done maybe in different downgraded ways. But when the problem is at scale, it's a truly business problem, that you need something like Fabric, because you need to create a joint ontology between the production asset and the business, and how the company sees itself in terms of business entities. I don't know. I have an example of a supply chain management situation. Let's think about that. We have a manufacturing company producing materials. They stock these materials in tanks. They have to deliver the product at certain quality grade at a certain time, and they have to deliver via carrier ships. But the ship is not arriving, or is arriving late.
Yep.
No, so you have to put together. And if the ship arrives and your product is not ready, you will be paying penalties, demurrage cost, and so on. So you need to solve the problem. You need to create a sort of agent, able to get the real-time data from the site. So which is the level of my tanks, which are the properties of my material, then you need a ship tracking system. You need a business system because you have purchase order to accomplish. And only if you bring all these things together and you give an ontology, you can solve the problem. So I believe the real driver is when we are convincing our customer to drive initiative like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving from just reporting and monitoring to actually anticipate, the outcomes. So as a final question, this has been a great conversation. Looking ahead, right, in the era of AI, what would you recommend? What will really be the main driver for a customer to become an industrial leader over, perhaps still struggling to operationalize all of the data that they have? Massimo, what would be your
I think this was my first FabCon. It was really good. I learned a nice motto. So from signals to action, I think this is the key point. So we need to depict a journey, where the data is turned to be not only information but actionable decision. And this, I think, is why RTI is so important, because without real time, we can say without real time there is no AI in order to drive truly important decision. Because the key point today is timing. You said before, that we need to take a decision in a short time frame. Maybe a customer needs to decide if they have to buy some product in a ship where the ship is sharing. And I think that again, the key point is the scale Fabric can guarantee, and we can guarantee on the OT side of the equation, is the resolution of the data, which is needed, because if you want to build AI, you need to understand patterns. You cannot work on batch data. And you need a unified ontology. So this, I think, is the three pillars we need to provide.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. Dipti?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, as I said earlier, first thing, you've got to start. You've got to start unifying. You have to start building. A lot of this is new, right? Very new for various different organizations. We live, breathe this stuff every day as I talk with customers and so on. But for many, it can be quite overwhelming. And I think the technology is changing so fast. Every day there's something new. You really have to kind of start with those steps that I laid out to begin with. But yes, you have to get to actionable, right? If your agents aren't able to drive autonomous action, or at least human-aided action,
Right.
you aren't there, right? And there is somebody who's already working on it in your space, in your industry, which is going to happen really quick. So it is a race. It really is a race to get to actionable, intelligence, making actionable decisions, completely autonomous decisions is where we're headed. But it's a step-by-step process. Will be human-aided. Make sure that you have your full context of your data, as well as the intelligence that's needed on top, so that your agents can actually operate on top. And of course, we are biased. I'm biased to Fabric. It truly has various different pieces and components that you need to get there. But at the same time, we also work with a range of our partners and the ecosystem that you might have in your organization. So figure out the solution architecture, figure out the path, your path to getting to autonomous actions.
No, this is great. So start, and from data to insights to action, which also, by the way, Fusion Data Hub on Microsoft Fabric is now generally available. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And with that, thank you, Massimo. Thank you, Dipti. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks, Carlos.
What a conversation. Everything you've been watching here was captured live at FabCon and SequelCon in Atlanta, from the interviews to the demos to the community insights that make these events so special. If you're into Microsoft Fabric, SQL, and the future of data, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And speaking of next, we're taking this show to Barcelona. FabCon and SequelCon Barcelona are happening this September 2026, and it's going to be packed with big announcements, deep technical sessions, and one amazing global data community. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to register and use code FABTV to save €200 off your ticket. As always, thank you so much for watching. Keep being awesome, and we'll see you in the next one.